Hulk Hogan, we coming for you. 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 Hulk Hogan, we coming for you.
It's now time for The Sit Down with Don Tony.
The Sit Down, where Don Tony talks one-on-one with his followers.
What are you looking at?
About the world of pro wrestling, pop culture, and so much more.
The Sit Down with Don Tony.
And now, your host, Don Tony.
That's it. That's it. That's the next big thing, guys. Maybe a little bit unfair at this point, but the funny thing is, and I've defended Tessa. I mean, listen, I'm not the demographic that should be giving her a pass, but after many, many years, yes, as Kev Castle has said, she is an asshole. But is she a racist? You know, and the thing is, you know, she screwed up royally several years ago. We have seen no instances since. We haven't heard about anything. So now what Tessa, this is the best way I could describe what's happening to Hulk Hogan right now and what's happening to Tessa Blanchard right now. And anyone out there that has ever done this will say, DT, you're spot on. I'm an insurance guy in New York. I've been an insurance broker since 1998. And pretend you get pulled over for a speeding ticket or a traffic ticket, any type of moving violation, and you're assigned a court date. Now, points do not go onto your license yet until you have found guilty of the ticket. So what some people will do is they will keep postponing the ticket. They'll keep postponing the ticket. It almost sounds the same thing. Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, postponing the ticket. They're postponing the tickets. And their court date may be a year from now. But they know they're going to be found guilty, so they prolong it. They postpone it. They get another year. And then 2 years go by. And maybe the original traffic officer is not available, so it gets postponed again. Point is that eventually you are going to have to go to court for that ticket. You can't just simply postpone it and postpone it and postpone it and think that it'll quietly go away. And then when you are found guilty, you realize, holy shit, if I would have just owned up to it when it first happened, then by now my traffic infraction would have been long gone and I don't have to pay for it. And that's what's going on with Tessa Blanchard right now, Hulk Hogan. And believe me, that looks kind of fun. Put color aside for a minute. That's better than what? Yeet? What? Yes, yeet? What? I think looks so much more fun. That's coming, guys. That is coming. Once people start catching on to that a little bit, you'll see white, black, straight, gay, Chinese, Asian, Italian, fat, skinny, identifies themselves as he, she, it, they, chair. Everybody's going to be doing it. And when you hear 10,000 people in the crowd, even the little kids, they don't even know why they're doing it. Hulk Hogan, we coming for you. Hulk Hogan, We're coming for you. Get ready. Anybody that is even remotely accused of something like that, they're coming for you. They're coming for you. Tessa, Hogan, I don't think they have an idea what they're in store for. So it may not happen in Australia or France or the United Kingdom, maybe those countries, but here in the United States, oof. How's everybody doing tonight? It is Sunday night. Was it 23rd? Yeah, 23rd of February, 2025. I want to welcome you to this latest edition of Sit Down. If you saw the preview for tonight's show, I actually do have a couple of topics lined up because, I'm pretty certain that everybody's going to be asking about them anyway. I do want to let everybody know right up front that Kev Castle will be joining me tomorrow night. He is feeling a little bit better, but still nowhere near 100%. But he has been resting a little bit more. And tomorrow we are going to do our normal edition of the Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle show. If anybody understands why The Rock is on that jet ski blades or whatever that shit is, the water ski blades, props to you if you know what that scene is from. But yeah, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tomorrow. So hope everyone is having a good weekend. Here in New York, it's been kind of quiet. On the wrestling front, there's been some interesting things that have gone down. If you saw the thumbnail for tonight, I actually was going to use that in the news report yesterday, and I was like, you know what? We'll just save it for tonight. Did you hear what Jonathan Coachman basically revealed? And I got news for you. I believe him because Coach has no skin in the game like that to be put. See, like Bischoff, I'm nothing against Eric Bischoff. Always supported him, even though you know what he's doing on, his YouTube, for ad revenue. But that guy disappeared for a little while. And he's got personal commitments. I totally get it. So my feed, my YouTube recommended feed has been free of Bischoff for almost a month. I'm like, thank you. I don't mind it, but kept popping up and it was annoying me. Suddenly it pops up again today. And what is the first fucking thing I see? Vince McMahon returning to wrestling. Vince McMahon is returning to the doctor's office. He's not returning to fucking wrestling. He's not. And I love Conrad. He's a hustler. Hustler, a hustler. He is a hustler. Always been, always will be. I actually do have nothing but love for that guy, but he's slick. Word around the campfire is that Vince is talking to people who are camera people. And I said to myself, that sounds like a load of bullshit. I think it's total bullshit. What say you, Eric? That sounds like total bullshit. Why are you doing the clip then? That's how the game is played, everyone. That's how the game is played. But I believe Coach. I absolutely believe Coach. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, Shane McMahon pulled the Paul Heyman. And if anybody understands that reference, props to you. Back in the day, I just had to look at my audio meter, make sure we didn't have any cutoffs. We had an audio glitch last week. First one in about 2 months, scared the shit out of me. But Shane McMahon pulled the Paul Heyman. If anybody remembers back in the day with TNA, with Dixie, Dixie was having some issues. And there was rumblings that maybe Paul Heyman could get involved in TNA. And basically Paul Heyman told Dixie, you want me part of this company? I get control of this. I do this. I do that. I do this. I do that. I do this. And Dixie's like, nah, ain't happening. Tony Khan, I guarantee you, I will never do another show ever again. I could picture that meeting, Shane McMahon saying, if I return, I can imagine Shane McMahon saying, not towards Tony Khan, but look, if I return to wrestling, I want to do it in a management position. I want to, do, what my father did. I want to be in charge. I want to have control. I even want to have ownership in a company. So I don't think he was telling Tony, these are my demands. But I think Shane McMahon was telling Tony Khan it would take a lot to get me back into wrestling. And equity, absolutely. And I guarantee you, Tony Khan sat there and he was like, yeah, Shane, I agree with you. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I mean, absolutely. Why wouldn't you want to be? I think that is tremendous. I think that is excellent. By the way, tune into TNA. Tune into TNA. Tune into AEW Collision this Saturday night. I guarantee you, Tony just smiled and yesed him and agreed with him. And when Shane McMahon left, Tony was by himself, kicking the wall, saying, I'm not giving my fucking shit to a McMahon. No, never gonna happen. No. That's what happened. I guarantee you, Tony just sat there with that goofy smile on his face. Let Shane say he probably agreed with him. And the minute Shane McMahon left, Tony ghosted him. That's what Jonathan Coachman is claiming, that Tony Khan ghosted Shane McMahon. Now, I'll tell you why I agree with Coach, and I'll tell you why I think that's exaggerated. We clearly see now that Tony Khan is like us when we were teenagers. I admit that I did this. I don't know how many of you out there admit that you did this as well. But when we were very young and very immature, and you wanted to break up with someone, and you didn't have the balls to pick up the phone or tell the person in person, look, I don't think it's working out. I think we should go our separate ways. You just ghost the person. You don't answer the phone. You don't answer the beeps. 143 turns into HO 403, 304. If anybody had a beeper back in the day, you got 143s, you were getting laid. If you get 304s, you're in the doghouse. I guarantee this is what we used to do. When I was very, very young, if I wanted to break up with someone, I would just stop calling them. Why won't you call me back? I thought we had a great relationship. Why didn't you call me back? I did that as late as 2004. I had met someone, went on a couple of dates, saw it. I honestly, I think would have had a better conversation with a horse. And I just stopped calling her. And she was sending me emails. Why won't you call me back? Why won't you respond to me? And she'd send me, a message on Facebook and I would block it. Or MySpace. No, it was 2004. So it had to have been MySpace. Whatever it was, I just totally ghosted her. And then she finally got the hint and walked away. That's what Tony Khan is. Tony Khan is that immature person who doesn't have the balls to break up with someone, who doesn't have the balls to say you're fired, doesn't have the balls to complain. He just will avoid the person. He's done it with a lot of wrestlers. He's doing it to wrestlers who are still employed with that company. And that's what he is. That's what happens when a billionaire is coddled and shielded his whole life. On paper, he's a 40-something-year-old man. But up here, the way his father has raised him, he's still 17 years old. He's got the balls of a child. He has no balls. He has no, guts. Like he'll scream and curse in front of other people who he is paying and they'll just agree with him. But outside of that, he has no guts. So the reason why I think, though, it's a little bit exaggerated is because I don't believe Shane McMahon ever followed up the conversation. Do you think Shane McMahon emailed or text Tony Khan, hey, I was wondering if maybe we get together again and have another conversation? I don't think Shane McMahon reached out to Tony Khan afterwards. So how the fuck could you ghost someone when that person is not contacting you. That's how I look at it. But that's my honest opinion. Now, moving on to this. I don't know how much you really want me to talk about this, but I saw this. I saw Sean Ross Sapp's tweet that Ryan Nemeth filed a lawsuit in California against AEW and Tony Khan, which honestly is the same thing, and CM Punk. The complaint is for assault, breach of contract, breach of implied covenant of good faith, and fair dealing and intentional interference with prospective advantage. Basically, his feelings are hurt. Let me tell you something, guys. I've said this before. If I am TNA, right now, at 8:21 p.m. Eastern, I would be texting other people in management and say, who the fuck do we hire? If I'm a wrestling promoter, I steer clear away from this guy. This guy is trouble. This guy is a baby. This guy is he's filed it in California. Nothing against Californians in general, but need I say more? Need I say this guy is like, if you took like the worst snowflake, he's like a good-looking version of Tony Khan, just without the money, without the fame, the fortune, and the charisma. You know, he wrestles better too. Ryan Nemeth is the quintessential coddled snowflake that thinks everything is owed to him. And when he filed this lawsuit, I swear on Jesus Christ, I don't know if anybody else out there felt the same way as me. I actually printed some of it up to read it to you. When I read the court filings, and this is courtesy of Fightful, got to give them credit because I tried to get the court documents. I fucking paid California earlier today to do a search result just to get the filing because they haven't issued a case number yet. For people that don't know, when you file in court to go, I personally think Ryan Nemeth leaked this out to the media because I know how small claims court works and I know how civil court works. And when you file it in court, you give the paperwork and then somebody's got to review the paperwork. They got to make sure you fill everything out right. They got to make sure that all the defendants are listed. They got to make sure that everything is perfect. And then they issue the docket number. And then they will send it out to the defendants to answer the summons. He filed it on Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, all that was on my mind was, hopefully I get laid after having this nice, expensive dinner on a Friday night. This motherfucker on Valentine's Day goes, let me go to Los Angeles court and let me file a lawsuit against these people. Ryan Nemeth, when I read the filing, I honestly thought Ringside News wrote it up. If anybody out there knows what I mean by that, Wrestling Inc., Ringside News, Sportskeeda, not everybody at Sportskeeda. There's some very good people there, and there's a couple of winners, let's be honest. You ever read those articles where they always open up with a paragraph that is just like meaningless or exaggerated? Like, Trish Stratus is arguably one of the greatest women ever in wrestling, and blah, 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 blah. And then it leads to what happened on SmackDown. If you ever read those websites, always the first paragraph, you could just throw it away. You could just throw it out, flush it out the toilet. They always start with that. When I read this complaint, it sounds like fucking Ringside News wrote this up. It is so, it's like if you took Ringside News and someone that never graduated high school, give them some of Tony Khan's marijuana, and then find the cheapest bullshit version of AI, that's what this lawsuit is. AI could have written a better lawsuit. Dates were wrong. Information was wrong. The assumptions. I have to share some of this with you. And the funny thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Nemeth tries to sue me for what is that? Hurting your feelings with E&O, whatever it is. I don't give a fuck. I ain't got nothing to give away. Defamation, yeah. Go ahead, Ryan. Yeah, have my thermos. Better yet, I think you probably would like this better. Seriously, if I'm a wrestling promotion, there are some people that you want to stay to clear the fuck away. Back in the day, it was Teddy Hart. Back in the day, who else? Who else was an absolute steer clear away from that person? That person is no. Let me read you some of this information. I probably will get too nauseous to go through the whole thing, but it is kind of funny. All right. This is how it opens up. Tell me this doesn't sound like ringside news. Ryan Nemeth is a successful actor. He says he's a successful actor. Then when we get into the lawsuit, he says his career is ruined. Which one is it? Which one is it, dipshit? Ryan Nemeth is a successful actor, comedian, and stuntman. Can I just say one thing before we go any further? Anybody remember Andy Kaufman? God rest his soul. Remember, here I am to save the day. He should take a page from Andy Kaufman. And I swear on God, I mean this. Andy Kaufman in the 70s would go on stage and open up the fucking Great Gatsby. And he would start reading the Great Gatsby, 50 years ago. And people would sit there for a few seconds and wonder, where is this going? 2-3 minutes later, he's still reading the fucking book. He goes to the next page and he's reading the book. By 3-4 minutes in, people start laughing. They don't know why they're laughing. And he's reading the book and he's looking around. He's like, what's so funny? What's so funny? And he keeps reading the book. He just read the book. And everybody was pissing their pants. This guy should read his own fucking lawsuit doing stand-up. I guarantee you people will be hysterically laughing at him. Ryan Nemeth is a successful actor, comedian, and stuntman. Nemeth also followed his older brother Nick's career and has established himself as a star performer on the professional wrestling circuit. Nemeth was under contract with AEW. AEW is owned by Shahid and Tony Khan. No, it's actually owned by a corporation, and they are the officers, but okay. I'm telling you, it's ringside news. Shahid Khan is the owner of the NFL franchise, the Jacksonville Jaguars. When his son Tony managed to alienate, this is in the lawsuit, when his son Tony managed to alienate most everyone within the Jaguars organization, including NFL players, Tony was moved to a leadership role in the Khan family-owned Fulham Football Club. Tony ended up mismanaging Fulham, leading to multiple lawsuits against the club. Since he was a child, Tony loved professional wrestling and had an obsession with certain wrestlers. The Khan family formed AEW to provide Tony with something to do, safely away from the family's other ventures. Tony serves as AEW's chief executive officer. Phil Brooks, he's in this lawsuit. Phil Brooks was another wrestler and a piece of shit, I might add. No, he didn't write that. Phil Brooks was another wrestler under contract with AEW and a member of the AEW management team. Tony had a deep fascination with Phil Brooks. Phil Brooks undertook a campaign to terrorize and intimidate the plaintiff, Ryan Nemeth, including physical assault. AEW and Tony Khan did nothing to protect Ryan and other wrestling performers from despicable conduct on the part of Phil Brooks. AEW turned a blind eye on Brooks's conduct because Tony's deep admiration for Brooks and because he was the most popular wrestling performer. As Brooks and Tony's insistence, AEW and Tony Khan have undertaken an effort to blackball Ryan Nemeth, so we can never work again in the wrestling business. Who's we? Who's we? Who's we? this is written. I'm telling you, whoever wrote this. All right, let's get into a little bit more. In early 2023, Phil Brooks assaulted and battered two. This is a good part. I have to admit this is good. In early 2023, Brooks assaulted and battered two fellow wrestlers known on stage by Nick and Matt Jackson. Brooks is known to have an uncontrollable temper and often lashes out in violent tirades against others. Thus, defendants were on notice regarding Brooks's violent proclivities. Rather than removing Brooks from the AEW roster of wrestlers, Tony Khan made the decision to merely suspend Brooks for a few months. Brooks is one of AEW's most popular wrestlers, and Khan did not feel that Brooks could be removed without a substantial loss of profit for AEW. Further, Khan has a deep personal affinity for Brooks. Khan made the conscious decision to keep Brooks as a part of AEW, although he knew that Brooks is prone to lashing out in violent episodes and to injure others. Beyond his deep feelings for Brooks, Khan represented to AEW executives and wrestlers that the TBS network had produced the AEW Collision show contingent upon Brooks's involvement on the show's star. This was all the reason more for Khan to keep Brooks in spite of violent propensities. During his suspension, for unknown reasons, Brooks made it well known he despised Nemeth. He despised him. Nemeth did nothing. He did nothing to Brooks whatsoever, except for that tweet calling him soft. But Brooks made it well known that he was angry with Nemeth. Brooks has a notorious luxury for taking violent action against wrestlers for no reason. On April 16, 2023, Nemeth contacted executives with AEW to tell his employer that he was worried that Brooks would come back to wrestling following his suspension and assault Nemeth. On June 21st, 2023, following Brooks's return to the wrestling circuit, he assaulted Nemeth in the male talent locker room. In a menacing manner, Brooks shouted at Nemeth, "Do we have a fucking problem? Do we need to step outside and handle this like men?" Nemeth was cornered by Brooks and did everything he could so Brooks wouldn't stick his penis up his ass. No, there was no assault. There was no assault. Do we have a fucking problem? You want to go outside? That's not assault. You hurt my feelings. You scared me. Ah! What a pussy. Holy shit. The next day, Nemeth was contacted by Tony Schiavone and other executives from AEW to complain and explain what happened. Nemeth calmly and factually explained that he was attacked by Brooks in the locker room. Following the assault, nothing happened to Brooks as far as punishment from AEW. It is well known in the wrestling industry that benching a wrestler is a form of punishment. That is, the wrestling performer is not scheduled for a match and thus is not paid. Benching a wrestler is a customary manner of punishing a wrestler. Didn't you just say that? Following the incident with Brooks, Nemeth greatly feared being henched by AEW. Nemeth spoke to AEW's in-house counsel and attorneys from Latham and Watkins. All the attorneys promised that Nemeth would not be benched. Just imagine calling the law firm. Am I going to be able to wrestle still? Yes. Yes, you will. Okay. Following the June 22nd conversation, Nemeth was not booked for a match for over 2 months. Because Nemeth was not booked for matches, his income stream from AEW dried up. More importantly, his popularity and marketability faded from being absent in the professional wrestling circuit. On June 17, 2023, Nemeth again contacted AEW's legal department to complain that he was being punished for doing nothing. It was then that Nemeth discovered that the real reason why he was being benched was because Phil Brooks insisted on this. Gee, I can't wait to get the deposition on who told him that. Because Tony Khan had such a deep admiration for Brooks, Khan went along with Brooks' his desires to ruin Nemeth's career. On August 12, 2023, Nemeth was finally booked for an event in Greensboro, North Carolina. On the morning of August 12th, Nemeth was walking through the hotel lobby to board a shuttle to the sports arena where the wrestling match would take place. He saw Brooks. Brooks immediately took out his phone and began to text. Oh my God. Oh my God, Phil Brooks texted. I'm scared. A moment after that text was sent, Nemeth received a text from AEW supervisor Pat Buck saying that he needed to speak with Nemeth as soon as he gets to the arena. Upon arriving, Nemeth sought out Pat Buck. Buck told Nemeth that he needed to leave the arena immediately and travel would be arranged for him to fly out on the same day. Guys, not for nothing, I stopped there. If Pat Buck ever has a GoFundMe, even if he has no money to buy Roach Motels, I'm going to send money to Pat Buck. The fact that motherfucker texted Ryan Nemeth and told him, you got to come to the arena, we got to talk. And he goes all the way to the arena, he says, you got to go home. That's fucking awesome. I would have called Ryan right there and just said, listen, Ryan, we got a problem. If you want to come and we'll talk in person, otherwise, we're not going to book you on the show, but we'll get you back home. This is great, man. So anyway, we're going to skip all the other bullshit. Let's just get to the final few butthurt comments by Nemeth. Okay, on November 18th, 2024, Nemeth wrestled for the last time for AEW. On November 25th, 2024, Brooks left AEW to wrestle for the organization's main competitor, WWE. Khan was heartbroken by the departure of Brooks, his idol that he admired in every way. Khan was furious with Nemeth. Khan believes that Brooks left AEW because of Nick Nemeth. Guys, Tony Khan believes CM Punk left AEW because of Nick Nemeth. Excuse me, Ryan Nemeth. I keep saying Nick Nemeth. Ryan Nemeth. The defendants have embarked on a campaign to blackball Ryan Nemeth from professional wrestling. Specifically, Tony Khan blames Ryan Nemeth for Brooks leaving AEW and has used his significant resources to make sure that Ryan Nemeth can never again make a living in wrestling. The conduct of each of the defendants was malicious in that the defendants intended to cause injury to Ryan Nemeth. Defendants acted willingly and with a conscious disregard for the rights of the plaintiff. Is this motherfucker working in TNA right now? I mean, did he maybe file this before the wildfires? And I'm not trying to be funny here. Did he maybe file this before the wildfires? And maybe just the mail got lost or was delayed because of the fires? This guy's on TV. Trust me, because I find myself watching extra other programming when he's on because I changed the channel. Honestly, I'd rather watch the best of fucking Nick Camarato. I'd rather watch the best of Nick Camarato than to watch Ryan Nemeth. I have nothing against the guy personally, but my friend, trust me, you come off as a butthurt pussy here. You are not this giant professional wrestler. Just like listen, if you look at these thumbnails that I do, we do not reference Tony Khan anymore. We reference him as Shad Khan's kid. From now on, we are referencing you as Nick's brother. You're not this major star that you think you are. You're not this major comedian that you think you are. Stuntman, I think Lee Majors did a better job in The Fall Guy as a stuntman, and he wasn't a stuntman. Keep thinking in your head, I don't know who the fuck is telling you that you're this giant, larger-than-life megastar and your career is now ruined. Ruined? Like I said on Twitter, if the court awards this motherfucker anything, give him a baby bottle, give him a coloring book, give him crayons, and give his brother Nick permission. Just slap him upside the head and say, the fuck is wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What are you, stupid? You're going to get yourself blackballed everywhere else. No one's going to want to work with you because they're going to be afraid that you're going to sue everybody. What do you think you're going to get out of this? Honestly, I can't wait to see where this goes. Talk about a ridiculous, dumb lawsuit. Boy, that is fucking unbelievable, man. That I read this and I said, this guy's really got to be kidding me. Who told him that this was a great idea? Unbelievable, man. What do you all think? What do you all think? I think he's ridiculous. Oh, somebody sent me a super chat earlier about Ryan Nemeth. Let's see what this says. Big Sal says Ryan Nemeth is a joke. He's dangerous. And I mean that seriously. Ryan Nemeth is dangerous because anybody that does business with him, if he feels slighted in any way, he's a threat to sue. He's one of those people that will go sue happy. He's a clown. He's a clown. And honestly, hey, Ryan, if you want to sue me, go ahead. First of all, I have E&O insurance to cover my ass. And second of all, you ain't going to get nothing. Seriously. If I had it, you think this setup would be like this? Go ahead. Unbelievable, man. What a butthurt baby. What a baby. Holy shit. But he is a joke. I thought this was funny. Seriously. If he read this on stand-up, I think people would be hysterically laughing. I think they would be laughing at him. Oh, what's so funny, guys? What's so funny? You weren't assaulted. Phil Brooks got in his face. Do we have a problem? You want to go out outside? And wasn't the confrontation because of the tweet that you wrote on social media that CM Punk was soft? See, the difference is you didn't have the balls to put at CM Punk on your tweet. You just had the word he. I don't think CM Punk identifies himself as he, him. I think CM Punk identifies himself as CM Punk and Phil Brooks. You didn't have the balls to put his name in that tweet. He had the balls to go in your face and said, do we have a fucking problem? Obviously, you two didn't go outside, so something tells me you were like, no, you don't have a problem. We didn't have a problem. So, this ain't going nowhere. I don't know. I think it's just ridiculous. What a waste of the courts. Ryan Nemeth, there's so much crazy shit going on in California right now, and you're going to tie up the court system for this? Seriously? File it in a different fucking state. All right. Let's move on. This is the thumbnail we're using for next week as of right now. As of right now, Kev will be joining me next Sunday night. We will be doing a recap and review of the Elimination Chamber. We will see who The Rock brings back to confront Cody Rhodes. Predictions will be coming tomorrow. Kev and I will talk about it. As of right now, the time will still be 8:05 p.m. That will change, possibly, if Kev wants to start the show a little bit earlier because of what's going on with him. So I told him no pressure. If he really doesn't feel up to it, he doesn't have to appear. But as of right now, Kev is a go for next week. But did The Rock jump the shark with Cody Rhodes on SmackDown? I use the term Soul Man. See, Soul Man? I use the term Soul Man because that was, believe it or not, his father's nickname. Remember Soul Man Rocky Johnson? He's the Soul Man right now. He wants Cody's soul. Rock needs a brother from another mother. And Cody's just baffled. Like, I can imagine Cody thinking to himself, last year I got a fucking hug on SmackDown. Now I got this. Like, this is 2 years in a row of bizarreness. Listen, my honest take on this, I don't want to compare it to Mr. McMahon, but it feels like WWE is trying to start a power struggle between Triple H and The Rock. The Rock is on the board of TKO. Triple H is not. The Rock is going to pull his power. You could be the corporate champion. It feels a little bit like a Mr. McMahon inspired storyline. You'll talk about inspired storylines. I don't know if you checked out Thursday's history show, but I'm going to throw one out to you that after I did the show, I immediately did research and I was like, look at this shit. Look at this shit. Everybody thinks that from the Janelle Grant lawsuit, that Janelle Grant text photos to Vince, that when Liv did it to Dominic, that normal people don't text photos to each other, sexy photos. I thought that was the funniest thing of them all. Like on the Observer Awards, like it was in the top 3 most disgusting tactics. Liv Morgan's texts Dominic's photos, which is inspired by the Janelle Grant Vince lawsuit. No, it's called inspired by 2 people that are having an intimate relationship. Hey, sex me some photos. Let me see a picture of you naked right now. I guarantee there's a lot of you out there that have done that with your significant others. That's not an abnormal thing. But I found the perfect storyline that we unfortunately endured that abso-fucking-lutely was inspired by Vince McMahon and Janelle Grant. Anybody know what that lawsuit is? I mean, lawsuit. I still got lawsuit on my brain. Anybody know what storyline that was? If you checked out the history show Thursday, I made a quick mention of it, but I wasn't sure because I had to make sure the dates lined up. The storyline that absolutely was based on Janelle Grant and Vince McMahon's relationship, Lacey Evans and Ric Flair. You remember they were insinuating that 75-year-old Ric Flair, whatever age he was it this very young Lacey Evans? And Charlotte Flair has got her balls in a bunch, like, what the fuck is going on? And then that storyline got thrown down the toilet because Lacey Evans got pregnant, for real. So they had to drop the storyline. Vince McMahon was in the relationship with Janelle Grant at that time. We were during COVID as well, right around that time. So you go back and you look at it and watch that storyline and do a little bit of research. All you got to do is replace Ric Flair with Vince and then replace Lacey Evans with Janelle Grant. The only difference is, we didn't see, they did obviously on television, it couldn't lead to a sexual relationship, but it sure was teased quite a bit. I'm telling you, when I was preparing for Thursday's episode, I was like, holy shit, look at this. Look at that. That absolutely was inspired by that. But this is what I think now. I think The Rock looming that corporate threat over Cody's head is going to be where this goes in the future. It's a storyline that could continue for the foreseeable future. And The Rock doesn't have to be on TV. Rock could just go on fucking Twitter. The final boss, blah, 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 blah. Cody, blah, 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 blah. You blew it, Cody, blah, 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 blah. So, yes, he's going to be at Elimination Chamber. Somebody's turning heel, even though we always thought The Rock was already heel, but somebody's turning that night. Cody is the champion for everybody. That's where I think this is going. Cody's not the corporate champion. Cody is everybody's champion. If I'm WWE, you have to do this. Trust me, No one out there has said this because I checked it on social media, and trust me, every podcaster would have tweeted it, retweeted it, and maybe even paid money to have it promoted on Twitter if they said this. If I'm WWE at Elimination Chamber, when The Rock asks Cody, will you be the corporate champion? I want Cody to look at Rock straight in the face and say, I am the people's champion. Cody is the champion for the people. And then Cody takes that reference of Rock. You were the people's champion. I am the people's champion. And that just makes him snap. Now, the question is, does Rock bring back Randy Orton? Does Rock do something else? Some people are claiming that John Cena is going to turn heel. You need ad revenue that bad? John Cena is fucking retiring. Every fucking state that he goes, there's theme shirts. They want to sell as many of them possible. Yeah, we're going to have John Cena turn against the WWE Universe. He's going to be in Austin, Texas in 2 weeks. You know, after he curses everybody out, fuck you, Austin. By the way, you want to buy the Austin, Texas, the final You Can't See Me? You will never see me ever again? Is that what John Cena is going to do? Is he going to do an Elias just without singing? He's going to go in the ring and he's going to say, you'll never see me ever again. You'll never see me ever again. He ain't turning heel. Oh my God, I'm telling you, I think some people are just on acid. Dude, did you just picture if John Cena finally turned heel? Dude, going into his final, oh my God, that would be amazing. Dude, what if Rock and John Cena aligned and John Cena was the corporate champ? Oof. They're hanging out with Ryan Nemeth. They probably wrote up Ryan Nemeth's lawsuit. All right. Okie dokie. What do you think? You think that I'm way off over here? I think Rock wants Cody to be the corporate champion. Cody says no. And then somebody comes out on behalf of Rock. Wouldn't it be something if Rock attacked Cody, Roman Reigns' music hits? Roman hits the ring and Roman doesn't know what to do. Roman just looks at Cody. Roman looks at Rock. You know, they have a little bit of awkward moments. And does that lead to something else? Something big is happening in Elimination Chamber. Something huge. And this is the road to WrestleMania 41. You think last year, that hug is the same setup as what we saw on Friday. Cody was lacking, and you could say this for this year too, and I think everybody will agree with me on this. Last year, when Cody won the Royal Rumble, it felt like something was lacking to the road to WrestleMania 40. Cody, it was finishing the story. It was always a reincarnation of Dusty. He was finishing the story. Most of you out there were not around or even alive when Dusty Rhodes was chasing gold. When Dusty would come out there and acknowledge everybody in attendance and that I'm going to win it for you and I'm going to do this and this. Cody was doing it on every fucking house show in his hometown. I will never come back here again if I don't bring it home for you. You know, he didn't say it like that, but you know what I mean by that. Cody was always finishing his story, but they needed something to just turn it up and shake it up. And there's always a saying, sometimes you don't realize how much you're going to miss something until it's taken away from you. And what happened was the idea that The Rock was just going to show up out of nowhere, take this away from Cody. After we had to endure WrestleMania 39 and his loss then, he's sitting in the ring looking like a goof. And then we had an entire 12 months afterwards. And to think, after 2 years of being mind-fucked, that Cody is finishing the story, doing it for Dusty, doing it for himself, doing it for the people, doing it for everybody. And then just Rock shows up and he's going to take the main event. He's going to win the title. And he's just going to give up the belt afterwards. And we'll have a tournament, just like AEW. We'll have an eliminated tournament. Made no sense. That's why when Kevin and I returned, sorry bringing it up, but it's true. January 29th, 2024. Look it up. That was the first episode of Kevin and I returning as a full-time team. That night we said WWE is going to start some type of We Want Cody movement, kind of like the Yes movement. When Batista came out of nowhere and we saw Daniel Bryan on this crazy momentum, and here comes fucking Batista with his skinny jeans. They started that Yes movement, and the fans felt like WWE changed their story because of the fans, and the fans ultimately won. You think of Triple H, even more fan-friendly than Vince ever was. And that's what Triple H did. We need to spicing up Cody. So we're going to make the fans feel like after a year and a half, we're going to take that storyline away. And the fans are going to be all in an uproar. The telltale sign was busted open. Busted open. When Dave LaGreca, dopey, and I say that lightheartedly, you got protests about Palestine and Israel in New York City and 2 blocks away. Let's do a rally. We want Cody rally. The same morning that they're going to have this big fucking demonstration. Of course, they changed it because idiot didn't realize, that's probably not. Why would you do a fucking rally 2 days after The Rock hugs Cody Rhodes, 3 days after? Like, it just, you could feel it was manufactured from the start. Now, we're 1 year later. Cody had some great feuds. Kevin Owens was fire recently. But now what? We don't know what's going to happen with Cody. And WrestleMania is still 2 months away. So what do we do? How do we gain that extra oomph for Cody Rhodes? Oh, I got it. Let's have Rock come out there, turn this shit upside down, and give Cody an ultimatum. You could be a champion for generation upon generations. Your kids' will have everything they could ever want. Just align with me. Just align with me. And now at the Elimination Chamber, less than a week from now, Cody Rhodes says, no, I'm the people's champion. And then Rock pulls his power. And the question is, who comes out there and beats the fuck out of him? Does Rock do it? Does somebody else do it on behalf of Rock? Cody, I don't think, is turning heel. I think that would be kind of fruitless at this point. I'm not sure. Everybody keeps saying John Cena. I saw Fightful write John Cena and Cody has been the plan since last year. I don't know about that. When we do Elimination Chamber predictions tomorrow, as we break down the matches, it really seems like a very, very predictable pay-per-view, premium live event. So we'll see. We will see what happens. But it feels like Rock jumped the shark right now, especially when they did that press conference afterwards. I know they announced WrestleMania, which was very smart since they were in New Orleans. Obviously you set the tone right there. Everybody live and in person is fucking going batshit. But they did a press conference afterwards, and Rock is basically telling everyone, just let the story play out. It's exactly what happened last year. Remember Roman Reigns and that documentary about WrestleMania 40? When we can blur the lines between reality and what's real and what's not, that's when we know we got them. If the story originally was going to be changed for real and Rock was going to take Cody's spot, that's not blurring the lines. That's whiting out the lines. If you listen very closely to the wording, the template from last year is being used this year. And why not? Last year was excellent. Excellent. Why not do it again, but a little bit of a twist this time? I don't know. We will see. We will see. I laugh when I see people saying, oh, that's just a Rock fulfilling his ego. Rock having the XFL. Rock being an actor. Rock having his own brand. Rock fucking owning everything that he owns. Rock making all the appearances he does. I got news for you. That is pretty deep shit. You don't see The Rock basically, other than peeing in a bottle at his movie sets, You don't see Rock turning like places upside down to fill his ego. But when it comes to wrestling, though, no, I just handle it much differently. Rock has got everything that he needs and then some. Rock's ego, he fucking guy thinks he could ultimately run for president. You think the Rock's ego is that thick that, I'll just fuck with WWE's entire story. And Ari Emanuel will just sit there and do a Tony Khan and be like, I think that's excellent. I think that's tremendous. I think that would be amazing. By the way, everybody, make sure you check out Monday Night Raw on Netflix this Monday night. No, the company was just sold. Rock was just added to the board of directors. Rock was going to be on his best behavior for the board of directors. I don't think Ari Emanuel said, hey, Dwayne, be that cocksucker, greedy motherfucker you always been. Go out there and just turn this shit upside down. We trust you. Don't even tell Cody. Don't even tell anybody else. Just turn this shit upside down and just, we'll go with it. One day we will know the truth. So as of right now, I think they jumped the shark, but we shall see. We shall see. All right, let's get into your questions, because believe it or not, we already did an hour. But I knew we had to talk about a few very important things. And by the way, I'm glad everybody's having a nice time hanging out. We always have good vibes here, fun, lighthearted. I know those those Ryan Nemeth. See, that's how much I care about Ryan Nemeth. I keep saying Nick Nemeth. Nick Nemeth. That's the only Nemeth that ever mattered for me as a wrestling fan, Ryan Nemeth. It's kind of like Kurt Angle and Eric Angle, Jimmy Fingers with a 50. Jimmy. It sounds like Goodfellas. Jimmy. How's this? Cody denies Rock's offer at Elimination Chamber. Rock 6, the new bloodline on Cody. Jacob shows reluctance, and they attack Jacob Fatu also. This brings out Roman Reigns to confront The Rock. Now we have Rock versus Roman, Solo versus Jacob Fatu. CM Punk wins the Elimination Chamber and becomes Rock's sellout champion. I like it. CM Punk said it when he first came in. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. And Rock selling that bag of beans to CM Punk, I'm here to make money. I fucking like it. I like it a lot. Only question I have is, how does this favor come into play? That favor has to be cashed. You don't dangle this favor from Survivor Series. Isn't that interesting? When you go back a year ago, everything started with Punk's return at Survivor Series, turned shit upside down. And then things had to be turned upside down even more because he got injured. And obviously WrestleMania had to be redone, the main events, because of CM Punk's injury. And you see now that CM Punk favor for fighting with the bloodline, at Survivor Series, like it started at Survivor Series again. Something with Punk. And then and listen, for everyone in the chat that is saying CM Punk won't turn heel, why not? And I got news for you. A lot of you want to see Cody Rhodes turn heel, and a lot of you are kind of getting tired of Cody Rhodes. It's not a guarantee that CM Punk will get booed out of the building. Rock, despite becoming the devil last year, the final boss, was still getting cheered. You see those post-Raw episodes, where he's getting booed out of the building and then the cameras go off the air and Rock is hugging people and taking pictures and everybody's cheering him. The more Rock keeps reminding us that this is entertainment, the more that anything can happen. Because just listen to what The Rock said. It's entertainment. Let the story play out. I'll be honest with you. I'm a lifelong wrestling fan since 1979. I hate when anybody in wrestling does that. If we have conversation and we say it to each other, that's fine. But when someone that high up says that, I fucking hate it. I hated it when they did other storylines in the past. Oh, in the end, Mr. McMahon will get, the revenge will be given to Mr. McMahon. All right, we get it. We don't need you to tell us. It's like when you're watching a horror movie, you don't get a public service announcement before the movie starts from the movie producer. It's like, listen, guys, I know we're going to go to part 2 and part 3, part 4, but don't worry. Listen, in the end, Jason will get it. Michael Myers will get it. We didn't have Donald Pleasance or a movie producer come out at the beginning of Halloween 2 and say, listen, you guys might not be thrilled with the outcome of the movie, but trust me, in the end, Jamie will get her revenge on Michael Myers. And then it goes to 4 and 5. We don't count 3. And it just keeps going. I don't need a movie producer to tell me, listen, you may not like how it's happening right now, but just let it play out. Let it play out. In the end, Derry, yay. I don't like that. I don't like Rock doing that either. But I do like the Marcus said, if you all hit the like. I would like if you hit the like. We got almost 600 of you hanging out right now. And that is awesome. S21 Ultra, what if they want Cody as a heel to face Cena? That doesn't have to happen at WrestleMania. That could happen at SummerSlam. SummerSlam is 2 nights this year. We were talking about it yesterday with the news update. We got 2 nights of SummerSlam this year. Goldberg is probably going to retire on one of those nights. Obviously, Cena, it's in Jersey. And Cena is going to obviously have a high-profile match at SummerSlam. Put Cody and Cena at SummerSlam. Why not? That's what I would do. Thank you, Brian, for the kind words. Thank you, my friend. It's fun to have these conversations. There's no right or wrong answer. All your opinions are as valid as mine. We just, Dave, this is what spitballing is. Spitballing is not saying dumb shit that absolutely makes absolutely no sense, that sounds like a child came up with it, like Ryan Nemeth's lawsuit, and then say 50 times, we're spitballing here. We're spitballing here. That's not spitballing. Spitballing is when you wake up in the middle of the night and you have that brainstorm. That's what spitballing is. You have that brainstorm. How many of you wake up in the middle of the night, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I just figured out how WrestleMania is going to go down. And you don't write it down on a piece of paper, and you wake up the next day and you'll be like, what the hell was I dreaming about yesterday? I had it. All I had to do was just talk into a micro recorder or just write it down, and the next day I would have remembered. Then you forget. I've done that so many times. Jimmy, I agree with you 100%. Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu would be fucking money. Jacob Fatu, I know we want to see him turn badass babyface. It might be a little too soon. But I could see Solo and Jacob Fatu. I don't want to see Solo against anybody else. Solo and Jacob Fatu would be a very, very interesting dynamic. I got to see, when does Tongaloa come back? Hopefully never. Is Tongaloa going to sue WWE if he doesn't get brought back? Rock and Roman, I think, could very well happen still. Nobody knows if Roman Reigns is going to perform at WrestleMania. Nobody knows. With all due respect, even some of the news sites that I subscribe to, and I even subscribe to their patrons, I make no secret about it. Even they don't know. No one knows except Nick Khan, Triple H, The Rock, and some very, very, very exclusive people at the top that are involved. They're the only ones that truly know. I started researching about Rock's movie that he's going to be doing, this Martin Scorsese film, and I heard that filming may not happen until around the summertime. So, I don't think WrestleMania will interfere with it in any way, shape, or form. Obviously, the fact that The Rock is coming back at Elimination Chamber and something big is coming down, he has to be at WrestleMania now. Why would you reintroduce Rock a week before Chamber? What happens if Cody does align with Rock? All right, see ya. Bye. All right, Cody, you're the corporate champ now. I can't be at WrestleMania, but I'll be there with Spirit. Yay. I'll make sure to tweet about it. Rock, of course, is going to be at Mania. You don't reintroduce him in this high profile where I'm actually spending an hour trying to figure out how can I make Cody look like he's wearing a shark outfit in the ocean and Rock is jumping over him like the Fonz in 1976. That was not easy. This was not easy to come up with. But you do not reintroduce The Rock this close to the Chamber just to have him go away again. I agree with you, Jimmy. I could see that happening. I could absolutely see that happen. Thank you for your generosity again. Much love. Speaking of generosity, thank you, Larry Jester, as well. Should Rock have had a ring? Should Rock have had a ring on SmackDown? I think I don't think that. Let me put it this way. Everything would have overshadowed the announcement for WrestleMania 42 and The Rock wanting Cody to be as part of his team. I always wanted a brother, be the corporate. As far as his belt, I think the reason why they didn't bring the belt out there is because they didn't want to diminish Cody having a belt. See, and I'm not saying this to be a jerk to AEW right now, but when I look at some of their thumbnails for matches and everybody's got fucking belts, even Gabe Kidd now. Gabe Kidd shows up at Collision and I'm like, oh, he's got a fucking belt too. Like, sometimes belts get diminished, because everybody you see has got a belt being featured. I think making Cody stand out a little bit more with his championship and Rock not having anything, I think that was done by design because you didn't want The Rock and Cody to be on even playing field. I know Rock is corporate and Rock is board of directors and Rock obviously is higher than Cody, but Cody is the one with the cards right now because he's the champion. So I think they wanted Cody as the champion to stand out more than having Rock standing there with his belt as well. Because you remember, listen, didn't Muhammad Ali's widow give him the belt? That's huge. That's huge. But that got overshadowed last year because everybody was like, oh, Rock is out there because I need a belt too. I need a belt too. I have to go show up at WrestleMania 40 with my belt also. So I think that was done by design. I do. Could be wrong. We might find out that The Rock forgot his belt, in Hawaii or wherever he lives now. But I think they just wanted Cody to just look bigger, just him having a championship there. So, all right. We'll get to the Penelope Ford question in a bit. Casey is Rosa saying, Don Tony, I want your soul. You can't have my soul. You can't. Nobody has my soul. My dog's got my soul. They are the boss now. They're the bosses. My wife is the boss. My mom, my dad. And by the way, thank you everybody for the well wishes for my mom. She is doing a little bit better. Now the next step is getting plastic surgery so she could feel a little bit more like a woman again. Because as I said, I know it sounds funny because I try to be lighthearted about things, not making fun of my mother. But if you ever look out on Raw, my mother has a flatter chest than Kofi Kingston. And if you look at Kofi Kingston's chest, you know what I'm talking about. My mom, had breast cancer surgery, came back again, had to get a growth moved out on the other side. And, she's having a rough time right now. But she's still here, and that's what matters. That's what matters. That's why, believe me when I tell you, Some of you tell me that these shows are an escape for you. It's an escape for me. It absolutely is an escape for Kev. We just got to make sure that it's not stressful anymore. Me, I'm able to handle it, until, it catches up to me also. That's why I'm taking precautions now, especially after what happened to Kev. Maggie says she sold her soul for a bar of chocolate. It's funny, speaking of chocolate, 2 weeks ago, someone asked me on the show if I would eat like the old wrestling candy or food again. Remember when we did that when we first started? Somebody out there who owns a comic book store has a bunch of WWF chocolate bars from the Attitude Era. They're chocolate bars from like 1999, Steve Austin, The Rock, and they're sealed. They look like, you remember, was it McDonald's? Oh, no, it wasn't. No, I know what this was. Anybody remember like Girl Scouts or through your school, you would sell chocolate bars and the chocolate bar would have the wrapper and the wrapper on it would say, you can redeem this wrapper for a free hamburger at McDonald's. Anybody had one of those chocolate bars growing up like I did as a kid? Trust me, I had a lot of free hamburgers coming from those wrappers. But that's what these chocolate bars look like. You know what I mean? So they're not like vacuum packed or anything. They're just in foil. So I didn't commit yet. But he's like, look, they're worth money. Don't make me send them to you and you don't try it. So I'm like, I don't know. I have to think about it. So I might be eating 26-year-old chocolate. Not sure yet. You know what? Props to Insane Sundu 510. Thank you for the 5 spot. Hey, yeah. Kevin and I are going to have a little conversation about this tomorrow, too. He wants to know if I saw this segment of Dynamite with Penelope Ford, Megan Bayne, and Thunder Rosa. Very awkward segment. Okay. Yes, I did see it. Let me say it like this. James Romero, I love you shoot interviews. You're a funny guy, support everything that you do. But you're trying a little bit too hard, to make up that ad revenue because Dutch Mantel wasn't feeling well. Just calling it, giving you my honest opinion. And the reason why I say that is because Drew McIntyre and LA Knight did not shoot fight 2 weeks ago. All right. People seem to forget a year ago when they were in Australia, Drew McIntyre and LA Knight had some fun as well. They like working with each other. There was just a lot of passion for making sure that everything went perfect at the Royal Rumble, and it didn't. LA Knight has zero heat on him. But just like you did also, no, I don't think AEW is sabotaging Thunder Rosa. That Megan Bayne, who is brand new in that company, there's no female there's no Melissa Jacksons and Nicoletta Jacksons backstage that are trying to sabotage Thunder Rosa. Nobody told Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford to go out there and make Thunder Rosa look like a moron. This was a case of the women not going over what they were supposed to do. The claims that AEW doesn't have production meetings, I will tell you this. I don't want to say who it is, but I'll say it like this. I've name dropped 2 of these people in the past. Both of them, I talk to once in a while on social media DMs, and they both work backstage in AEW. And they abso-fucking-lutely go over matches with wrestlers, even the women. So the idea that they don't do production meetings, right? They may not all sit on an oval table and Tony Khan is there with his sippy cup going, all right, guys, what do we have for tonight? All right, what are we going to do tonight? It's going to be amazing, epic, unbelievable. No, they don't do that. But they do have agents backstage and they do go over stuff. So the idea that nobody has productions meetings, that's exaggerated to the 10th degree. Telling you right now. And I'm defending AEW with that. But it was obvious Megan Bayne. I blame this on Megan Bayne, and I blame this on Penelope Ford. And I'll tell you why. Just because you're in AEW for 4 years doesn't mean that there's growth. How many times have you heard me say in the last year that people are not growing in AEW? You may be there for a bunch of years, but there's no growth. There's a lot of wrestlers are there. There's no growth. You're just older. And Penelope Ford, when you don't have, people doing the trainings and doing the repetitions and doing things in the ring, and she comes back after injury, and she just has a match every once in a blue moon, and she's not in any high-profile segments. It's like a guest host that used to come on Monday Night Raw. Guest host would not know when to shut the fuck up, would know when to get out of the ring. Guest host would sometimes take it personal and just stand there like, no, I'm going to stand up to this heel. And the heel's trying to get themselves over, in the skit, and the person doesn't know how to fucking handle it. Penelope Ford, because she is a heel, thinks, I'm tough. I should not be a chicken shit and run away. Megan Payne, people are telling her, you're the next Brock Lesnar. You do the F5, you're a specimen. You don't run away. That's for Ryan Nemeth. You don't run away. You don't back out of the ring. You stand there. You stand there. And that's what happened. They did this segment with the wrong people. They should have never had Thunder Rosa confront Megan Bayne with a chair. Unless Thunder Rosa threw that fucking chair at Megan Bayne, and Megan Bayne took a fist and went boom and punched that chair. And then Thunder Rosa has to show a little bit of scaredness, like, holy, what the fuck? And have Thunder Rosa show a little bit of fear. You can't have, just imagine Brock Lesnar backtracking. Somebody pulls out a chair. Imagine him getting scared and running away. You would never do that. Why they did that segment in the first place made zero sense. What I would have done, I would have had Penelope Ford in the ring by herself. Let her do whatever she was doing. Then you have Thunder Rosa come out with a chair. Thunder Rosa goes, pretends like she's going to do something to Penelope Ford, and then Megan Bayne stands in front of Penelope Ford. And then she just has a stare down with Thunder Rosa. They're looking at each other. Thunder Rosa doesn't know how to react to it. And then you have Penelope Ford turn around and go in front of Megan Bayne and just act like that little pussy, like, ha ha, ha ha, I have a bodyguard. What are you going to do now? Huh, bitch? What are you going to do now? That's what I would have done. Have Penelope Ford show a little bit of emotion. And then you could have done whatever you wanted with Thunder Rosa. Let her throw the chair, let Megan Bayne swat it down like nothing. Or you don't incorporate the chair. They did it with the wrong people. But do I think they sabotaged Thunder Rosa? No, I don't believe that. You're going to sabotage Thunder Rosa? You don't do it with Penelope Ford. That, listen, I have nothing against her personally, but Penelope Ford is not someone that you're going to put a high-profile segment with and then expect her to react, like she should. She looked like a deer in headlights. She looked like someone that works the indie circuit and doesn't know how to react when a segment like that happens. And I don't even think a producer would have mattered anyway. So that's my honest take on that. That's my honest take. Yeah, Benjamin says Megan Bayne could have hurt her hand. She swats that down. She could break a knuckle. I absolutely agree with you. I don't like the chair segment unless everybody's going to run out of the ring. You run the heels off. It's called making the save. You can't make the save with Megan Bayne because Megan Bayne's got that attitude like, ain't nobody on this fucking roster is going to scare me out of this ring. You don't do that with Megan Bain. Do that with Mercedes Moné. Do that with Mariah May. Do that with other heels that know to have a little bit of a personality that are not being built as this, this mammoth specimen. So I would not have done that segment at all. Whoever thought that was a good idea was grossly wrong. But no, AEW's not sabotaging Thunder Rosa. To me, I thought that was ridiculous. Definitely a bad segment, though. Definitely a bad segment. See, I'm all for Thunder Rosa versus Megan Bain. Here's the problem. It's the same problem that we talk about so many other people in AEW. Who do you think's going to come out on top on that one? You know, you feel me? Like, when is Thunder Rosa, like Thunder Rosa will beat like, I hate, it pisses me off that Deonna Purrazzo and Taya Valkyrie are going so low on the food chain. But you'll see Thunder Rosa beat like Nobody Number One and Penelope Ford and Christine Ford and Ford Fairlane and Jobber Number 5. And she might beat a Serena Deeb, and then she's gets up with a Megan Bain or Mercedes Moné or somebody like that. And, no. Sorry. 316 MMA. DeMarcus says Jade is probably coming back at the Chamber. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. 316 MMA. If La Familia lose the women's tag team match on Raw, does that mean Liv will win Elimination Chamber? Make it a 3-way with Rhea and Io at WrestleMania. Io Sky is being given this cookie because they have nothing for her for WrestleMania. I'll incorporate what DeMarcus said also. Jade Cargill is likely going to return in Elimination Chamber. All signs point to that. But here's the thing. Fans are tired of Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. Would it get booed at WrestleMania? No, it won't get booed at WrestleMania if it happens again. But that ain't happening at WrestleMania 41. You're not going to do that again. They're doing it on the WWE's touring Germany the end of March, and they're doing like 4 or 5 matches of Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. And the reason why they're doing that is because they have nobody else right now to feud with Rhea Ripley. You're absolutely not going to do the road to WrestleMania and do that all over again, because it's really, really starting to expose Rhea Ripley. They have to go with something fresh. I do not, listen, again, I'm not doing predictions today, but I absolutely would not have Liv Morgan win Elimination Chamber. Hell no. Hell no. Maybe you put the tag titles on Liv and Raquel, so that allows the tag team division to go in a different direction, because I still think Bianca Belair is winning the Chamber. I think Bianca Belair will feud with Rhea Ripley. That is a feud that WWE wanted to do a couple of years ago and couldn't do it. They had a match in NXT. And if people remember, after Rhea Ripley retained her NXT championship, that's when Charlotte Flair showed up and challenged Rhea for the NXT Women's Championship at WrestleMania. So that is a feud that WWE's been wanting to do. So then you have to obviously shift Jade Cargill in a different direction. If Bianca Belair wins the Chamber and she no longer has Naomi as a tag partner, then you obviously have to shift Naomi in a different direction. If Naomi is busy with Jade Cargill, you still have 2 months to WrestleMania. You're probably going to have to feud Bianca and Naomi beforehand. So there's a lot of unknowns right now, but I will say this. I don't buy these reports the last couple of days that the women's roster, WWE's main roster, is complaining about how they're being used. And the reason why I say that is because if you start breaking down that roster, tell me who on the main roster you think they're pertaining it to. Michin? I think WWE's done a lot with Michin, more than they've ever done before. She hasn't won a belt because not everybody gets a belt. Alba Fire, maybe. Some others got released. Maxine Dupree is perfect in her role. Who are you talking about? Is Ivy Nile going to bitch right now? No. She's having a blast in American Made. When you start breaking down the women's roster, you know, and you know why that got traction? You know why that got traction? Because there is a giant wrestling community out there that want women's wrestling to be on this even playing field as men's wrestling. So when a report comes out there that women are not happy about how they're being used, you get a boatload of people on social media that'll immediately jump that train. But then you start asking yourself, who are you talking about? Who are you talking about? Break that. If anybody out there want Natty, maybe Natty. Like, who are you talking about? Chelsea Green is happy what she's doing. Piper Niven is having a ball. Lyra Vicaria, even though she hasn't defended the championship yet, they are slowly taking her to the next level. Roxanne Perez is getting promoted right now. Like, who are you talking about? Listen, they don't have 100 women on the main roster. Based on what I just said, we just narrowed it down to a very small few. Katana Chance and Kaden Carter have been on NXT. Maybe them. Kairi Sane is injured. Asuka's injured. Bailey has been one of the MVPs the last 6 months. Who are you talking about? But unfortunately, what I just said is not popular on social media. If anybody on social media writes, guys, who do you think they're actually talking about other than Natty? And people sit there and they'll be like, no, that's not fun. That's not fun. Let's make it feel like the women are all pissed the fuck off right now. Who are they talking about? Zoe Stark? Maybe. Shayna Baszler? Maybe. All right, that's 3 women. That's not the women's division. You know, a lot of people sometimes need to take a little step back and think about it before joining the train that a lot of people do, because when you start thinking about it, you'll be like, yeah, there's actually not a lot to this story. So Roderick is asking, how do I see the Julia Jordan Grace Stephanie Vaca picture panning out? Possible 3-way for both titles at Stand and Deliver. I do not believe that they're going to have anybody be a double champion in NXT right now. The problem is there's only 2 women's championships in NXT. So somebody, unfortunately, comes up a little short. In my honest opinion, Jordan Grace does not need a women's championship right now. She has had a tremendous TNA career. And Jordan Grace needs, how do I say this the right way? They need to have her more balanced with the NXT women. You don't want Jordan Grace to come in like Asuka did on the main roster back in the day, because Asuka got built so high that they needed James Ellsworth and a bunch of Carmella victories to try to bring Asuka back down the size a little bit. You know, her losing to Charlotte Flair one time, you know, is not going to hurt Asuka's momentum in any way, because Charlotte Flair is one of the greatest of this generation. But in order for Asuka to be looked at, hey, you know, she could lose also. They had to do dumb shit. With Jordan Grace, you don't want her to come into NXT and she's all the way up here. Julie and Stephanie Vaca are over here because they're NXT. And then, you know, they have to be more on an even playing field. That's why they have the 3 aligning with each other. Could they do a 3-way at Stand and Deliver? Absolutely. I don't know as of right now if they're going that route, but I don't see Jordan Grace with a championship right now. Would have been great if she still had a TNA title and then have this crossover. That's why I'm kind of rooting for Cora Jade to win the belt. Because if Cora Jade could beat Masha Slamovic, that would be an interesting storyline. Cora Jade says, I'm bringing that belt home. I'm bringing it to NXT. And then you get TNA fans all with their balls in a bunch. This NXT woman won our championship and is holding it hostage in Florida. So as of right now, the three-way is possible, but I personally don't know if you would take the three top women, arguably in NXT, and have them all used on one match. I have a feeling we may see it broken up into two matches. Who knows? Maybe Julia versus Stephanie Vacker at Stand and Deliver. I think a lot of people want that match. Is it too soon? No, I don't think so. I don't think so, because I think by Royal Rumble next year, one or both of them are going to get promoted to the main roster. They're ready. They're absolutely ready. Just the timing is not perfect right now. Shout out to Austin Nance, who is holding the ship down. Again, if y'all are enjoying the show tonight, take a moment, hit the thumbs up. You'd be surprised if and I'm not just saying this, if a bunch of you do it at the same time, YouTube gets like a little notification and they're like, hey, something cool is going on right now. Maybe I should refer it to other people. Maybe they'll see the show and tune in for a little bit. We're not doing ads. So obviously, we're not doing ad revenue during the live stream, but anybody that tunes in, gets a little escape from everyday bullshit, is always a good thing. So always a good thing. Trisha wants to know what I think of the Kurt Angle milk truck segment and Invasion. It's one of the most memorable moments in WWE history. It was one of the most memorable moments because you had Steve Austin with the beer truck, Kurt Angle with the milk truck. That's what it comes down to. Steve Austin was beer, Kurt Angle was milk. And let me tell you something. When Kurt Angle had his demons, especially when he was in TNA, and not just painkillers, everybody focuses on Kurt Angle's painkiller addiction. Kurt Angle had an alcohol issue as well. That milk gimmick could have easily been overshadowed from his battles with, substance and alcohol in the past. And he overcame it. Much love to him. I know back in the day, we brutalized Kurt Angle. Didn't give a shit, but we brutalized Kurt Angle on the shows. And then, he met Giovanna, and I talked to her once or twice a couple of years ago, and she tuned into the shows, and very, very cool. And I always, always, always give her credit for getting Kurt Angle in the right, frame of mind. That's why, honestly, I warmed up to Karen Angle, Karen Jarrett. I'd be disrespectful if I said Karen Angle right now. Karen Jarrett. When Jeff Jarrett went into rehab, like Karen, if you remember that infamous picture, she posted that picture and it really was taken the wrong way online. And we knew why she was doing it. She was trying to show support, like my husband is fighting and he's trying to overcome this. But then, you heard nothing but her really, 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 really being that best friend for Jeff Jarrett while he was battling. Listen, I don't know any of them personally. But I will call it like I see it, even if it's an unpopular take. But let me tell you something. Karen Jarrett is heavily the reason why Jeff Jarrett is clean now. Just like with Kurt Angle. His wife and his family is heavily the reason why he cleaned up his hand. Jeff Hardy's support group, not only his brother, but his wife and his kids, that's when you need family at at the most. That's why right now, even though it's unpopular, you look at Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is, from what we hear, and listen, trust me, I do not lie. People are telling me this privately, are friends of friends of friends, that hear it from people that work in WWE through other wrestlers. Vince is closer to members of his family right now, probably more than he has in years. And I had this as a news item a couple of days ago and I deleted it, changed my mind. But, you saw the Super Bowl. Vince does not look well. And, I talked to somebody privately and they said, that may be much truer than you think. That Vince McMahon is not terminally ill, but Vince McMahon is not doing well at all. And you saw what happened a couple of days ago. For the last 6 months, what have you heard Kevin and I say? Janelle Grant's lawyer, she's trying to win the court of public opinion. Take a shot every time I said that in the last 6 months, you'd be drunk right now. Did you see Vince's lawyers last week? Ann Callis is trying to win the court of public opinion. Saw that a mile away. And now WWE, not just Vince, but WWE just said this needs to go to arbitration. It's exactly what Kevin and I have been saying for months now. This goes to arbitration, this case is over. Vince may have to pay her. The other $2 million may have to pay a little bit more than that. But if this goes to arbitration, this case is dead. And the only thing that's left is the court of public opinion. And don't be surprised if that happens. And then when you hear it, you got to ask yourself, if you want to be honest, without naming any wrestling news or statistics sites, you got to ask yourself, what fucking narrative have they been pushing the last couple of months? I'm not going political here. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like CNN and NBC and a bunch of others that were trying to convince everybody that Donald Trump was a Nazi, a homophobe, a racist, to this, to this, to this. Blah, 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 blah. Again, I care less about politics. I didn't vote. But if you remember all of the narratives that people were trying to push, that's what it feels like with some of these news sites. They're trying to push you to think that all this stuff about Vince is this. And I'm not rooting for Vince. But if it ends up being arbitration, do not dare say, well, that's because Trump is president now. The people that are in the courts that originally dropped the SEC, issue were the same people who were in power before Trump became president. So a lot of these decisions, you got to look at the timeline and look at the people involved. They didn't drop it because Trump is president. They didn't move it to arbitration because Trump is president. I guarantee you, the usual suspects will try to convince you otherwise because they need that kind of, explanation. They need justification. They need to convince themselves that they weren't just feeding you an agenda the last 6 months, but that's what's going to happen. I'm telling you, you watch, that's what's going to happen. Rams fan is asking, do I think Damian Priest and Jacob Fatu will happen at WrestleMania 41? I sure hope not. I don't want to see that. People keep saying Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest at 41, and I don't like that either. I like what Jimmy Fingers said earlier. Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. It might feel rushed, but what else are you going to do with Solo Sikoa? Like, what are you going to do? Have the Wyatt Six come out and confront the new bloodline? Ugh. Talk about it. I mean, now do people agree with Kevin and I that the Wyatt Six was the biggest disappointment of 2024? Talk about if we are honest and you pull back a little bit, there are quite a few people that Triple H did a very shitty job with in 2024. They were very, very lucky to have Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns a little bit, Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk. I don't know if I said Cody Rhodes, even Jacob Fatu to an extent. And there's others. They are very lucky that they had about 10 people that were so fucking over that it was them and everybody else. Look at the Street Profits. I said it yesterday. They show up every 3 weeks to cause chaos. If I'm out to ruin somebody or a bunch of people, I show up every fucking week, cause chaos. I don't do it every 3 weeks. That's not their fault. That's WWE Creative. They have been able to tread water with 10 people. Because I got news for you guys. When I was a lot younger, how many of you out there that used to see the signs or even made the signs? I paid to see John Cena. I paid to see Brock Lesnar. I paid to see Randy Orton. I paid to see Steve Austin. I paid to see a stunner. I paid to see this. Yeah, you would pay good money because you had 2-3 favorites. There might be 2-3 matches. When we look back at WrestleManias from yesteryear, isn't it usually just 2 or 3 matches that we always talk about? When you go like WrestleMania 13, what's the first thing that come to your mind? Bret Hart and Steve Austin. Then you might come up with another match or two. WrestleMania 2000, the TLC. You know what I mean? Like, you look back at WrestleManias from yesteryear, it's like 2-3 matches that we really remember. So when you think about WWE, they were very freaking lucky to have that many people on fire at the same time, because it really, really covered up that a lot of other people were not being used well at all. There's more people than you think. By the way, I don't know if it's broken yet, but, we've been one of the only places out there that have been following the stock market very closely. And I was told that expect some news early next week that might be negative for WWE. I don't know what it is. I don't have any insider trading, but something negative financially with WWE that could cause the stock to dip a little bit. Don't know what it is. And trust me, it's not the Janelle Grant lawsuit. So, and it could be nothing. Could be nothing. Dominic Gibson. How long we've gone? Hour and 41 minutes. All right, we'll go to 2 hours. So we still got about 20 minutes left. Much love, much love. We'll get into another couple of super chats that came in. I thank you very much. I have to mention Dominic Gibson because I started mentioning his name. DT, what other ex-WWE superstars do I see leaving AEW this year or next year? Ex-WWE stars, I don't see Christian coming back to WWE because he was so good in AEW. And the reason why I say that is because if we look closer, Christian does not wrestle much at all. He would not get over on that WWE schedule. Plus, half of the things that Christian says, he would not be able to say in WWE, even though they're on Netflix. He gets, just like MJF, half the things that they say in AEW, they would never be able to say in WWE. So now it becomes more of a challenge. Adam Copeland, it's interesting because Adam Copeland still has a lot to offer. And they are playing him very, very carefully. Yes, he just came back from injury not too long ago, but I see him staying for a while longer. FTR, I don't see leaving. I think FTR realizes, I think they look closely at the Motor City Machine Guns and a bunch of others that, within a few weeks, you're pretty much just there. And FTR, I don't think just want to be there. I don't see many people. I don't see many people that were in WWE before that are coming back. Ray Phoenix, I think, is closer to an AEW exit than most people realize. Somebody even said to me, don't be surprised if he's already pretty much gone. Like they've already worked out something. I think Ray Phoenix's big mistake was going on that Spanish or that Mexican podcast and just commenting it all. I would have just waited a few weeks and I think he would have been out of there. Dustin Rhodes ain't leaving. Dustin Rhodes, WWE, he's a Hall of Famer, but Cody is the only Rhodes that they care about right now. Dustin is obviously a sentimental, person to a lot of people, that sentimental connection. But Dustin Rhodes' best years are behind him. He's there working with the younger guys. I don't really see much of a change. You might see, a woman or two, maybe Deonna Purrazzo ends up going to WWE. I think now with NXT on a totally different level, I think she would be treated much differently. All right. Before I get to Super Chats, one non-wrestling question that definitely should be mentioned. Michael Gonzalez, my thoughts on the Yankees changing their facial hair policy. I am 100% in favor of it. Don't get me wrong. The typical neck beards, like people say with the AEW neck beards, I don't want to see that. But obviously we are in a different world now. And for a lot of people, that style is in. You know, unfortunately, if you look for me, you know, I've had the same hairstyle since my high school days, you know, so who am I to talk? Listen, my favorite player of all time is Reggie Jackson. And when Reggie Jackson was on the A's in the 70s, I remember clearly, I think it might have been 1974. I mean, I was a child at the time, but I remember, you know, years later that in the 70s, when the A's won, you know, a couple of World Series, their owner allowed everybody to have facial hair. And I remember Reggie having a little bit of a beard. I mean, I don't want to see anybody looking like Santa Claus, but, you know, I like a little bit of facial hair. I don't like, you know, for some people, the clean cut. There are some players like, you know, I know you can have a mustache, but, you know, some players that have a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow, a little bit of a clean beard. I don't expect anybody to be like, you know, that real deep, long beards. I don't see that happening, but it's a style for some people. There's some players that look weird without facial hair. You know, if we're going to compare it to wrestling, I mean, what's the thing I'm always remembered for? When Bryan Danielson first went to WWE and he wasn't getting over. People have heard the episode. We put it on Patreon not too long ago. Like a year and a half ago, we put it up there. Kevin and I had a conversation one night and said, you know, both of us said it. Maybe Daniel Bryan needs a little facial hair. He looks too much like a generic indie guy. Maybe he should grow a little bit of facial hair. Let his hair grow a little bit more, maybe a little beard, you know, a little different look to him. And, you know, we were spitballing, Dave. And we were right. We just, you know, not saying that WWE hurt us. Nobody hurt us. But there's some players that just look good with it. So what I don't want to see is I don't want to see names on the jerseys. I don't want to see that. If you're a Yankee fan, you know whose name is on the jerseys. You know who is number 99. You know who is number 13. You know the numbers. You don't need names on the jerseys. As long as they don't have the names on the jerseys, I'm fine. All right. Jimmy Fingers again. Thank you, Jimmy. Doubling down. Who will be the next Hall of Fame inductee after Michelle McCool? The anonymous Raw general manager's laptop. Oh God. That was, you know, in the annals of wrestling history, I understand why they did it. Because things were starting to get more automated and that it was like computers are taking over. I just hated the goofy special effects. And the lights would flicker. It was funny early on when it would make the sound and the timing of the lights were off a little bit and it looked goofy. I did not like the anonymous Raw GM storyline. I didn't like the Hummer back in the day. I didn't like GTV. To me, those were cop-outs. You know, they really didn't lead to much of anything at the time. Even if we found out later on who was behind what. Hated anonymous Raw GM. Who gets inducted after Michelle McCool? I agree with you. I think it's got to be Demolition. There are so many newer fans that all they know of Demolition was that they've sued WWE for concussions. And they were a great tag team in the 80s and they were Road Warriors rip. Unfortunately, for a lot of fans that are younger, that are not watching wrestling for that long, that's pretty much how they have been introduced or known to Demolition. I have too many people that I interact with online who are younger who say pretty much the same thing. I heard they were a great tag team in the 80s. You know, they sued WWE for concussions. They should be in the Hall of Fame, but they were a Road Warriors ripoff. They know nothing about Demolition Axe and Smash. They don't know nothing about the Masked Superstar. They don't know nothing about Crusher Khrushchev. They might have heard about Repo Man, but those guys were more than just Demolition. And I think you got to put them in this year. Kevin, I said that don't be surprised if the Wyatts go in next year, the Wyatt family go in next year. And this year, Demolition goes in. But I would put the Wyatt family in as 3 guys. Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, and Bray Wyatt. I would do it next year. Somebody deceased is going to be put in this year. Most of us are hoping that it's Sid Vicious. Maybe it's Sid Vicious. They have not put Bam Bam Bigelow in as of yet, right? They have not put... I would put Sid Vicious in before Bam Bam Bigelow, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think Demolition has to go in. I think you continue that momentum online. There's been nothing but positive coming out of it. I think putting them in the Hall of Fame is the way to go. I think there's a chance you may see another female wrestler put in. I mean, most people want to see Miss Elizabeth put in. I think that's long overdue. People think Victoria. I think Victoria might go in next year. But we'll see. We will see. That's a few names. I don't think you wasted this year on King Kong Bundy. I think that might be another year or 2 down the line. We shall see. Scorpio. He hopes they don't pair Megan Bayne as a future bodyguard for the Timu Alexa Bliss, Penelope Ford. No disrespect, Megan Bayne is a future women's champion. Listen, I said it before. You can have Penelope Ford acting like a chicken shit, hiding in front of or behind Megan Bayne. Like, God, what are you going to do about it now? That's what I would do. The problem is, I know this is going to sound awful. AEW does not give a shit that much about Penelope Ford. I think the only reason why they may pair Penelope Ford with Megan Bayne is so Penelope Ford could take the beatings once in a while. You don't want to use Megan Bayne like Jay Cargill. You can't use Megan Bayne like Jay Cargill. You don't have the depth of the women's roster like you did when you had Dark and Elevation still around. They can't do that. So how do you use Megan Bayne? Well, you take a little of focus off of her and put someone with her. That's what I think. She's definitely on her way to becoming a champion. I mean, who's not? I mean, there's so many people. I think it's more newsworthy when certain people are not champions. But Megan Bayne, her problem is she's a big fish in a very, very small pond. A very small pond. There's a couple of fish that are a little bit, near her, level. And I'm not saying Megan Bayne is the top female in the company, but I'm saying the roster is not deep enough for her to have that Jade Cargill run. So that's how I look at it. Thank you for that. Jimmy Fingers, again, has everyone noticed that Charlotte has graduated from boos to no reaction at all? No disrespect, but he hopes Tiffy goes over. I said this last week. I will say it again in the predictions show tomorrow. And I think Charlotte Flair is a part of it. WWE wants to position Tiffany Stratton as this generation's Trish Stratus. Not the best woman wrestler there is. Not the number one woman there is. But that woman that is professionally, privately, just everything about her, that one woman that could be, like what Trish was. Forget about Trish with the underwear stuff in the early days of TNA when she was managing Tessa and Albert. I'm talking about years later. Trish has had no controversies. Trish is a role model. Trish Stratus is an ambassador for WWE. I think they want Tiffy to be that next one woman. Bianca Belair has that spot already, but her demo is a little bit different. If we're going to be honest for a second, Bianca Belair is more inspiration towards Black. All women, obviously, but, there's obviously different demos and styles when it comes to Tiffy and Bianca Belair. I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but what I'm saying is that I think Trish Stratus is here right now to give the rub to Tiffany Stratton. And I think Charlotte Flair, wrestling her at WrestleMania, is there to give the rub to Tiffany Stratton. They want Tiffany Stratton to that next level. And I think this is how you do it. So as of right now, I absolutely believe Tiffany Stratton will defeat Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. She will retain the women's championship. I'd be shocked if Charlotte Flair wins again. Not against Tiffany Stratton. Thank you for that. And you know what? You said this also. His favorite player, baseball player of all time, is also Reggie Jackson. And Jimmy grew up in Boston. Let me tell you something. I have so many memories of Reggie just trolling Boston. The feuds in 77 and 78 were epic. As the years went on, because Reggie was only there until 81. In 82, he went to the Angels. 81, it was more about the Dodgers. The Red Sox were really not in it as anywhere near in 81. But Reggie was that guy, man. Reggie got booed everywhere. And that's how you knew he was a superstar. I actually was watching a game from my collection a couple of months ago. Nolan Ryan was pitching in Anaheim. And he had a no-hitter against the Yankees going into the ninth inning. I don't know if it was 1 out or 2 outs. And it was aired on ABC Monday Night Baseball. I'm sure there's footage on YouTube if anybody wants to go check it out. Nolan Ryan, some of his pitches, I think, were 105 miles an hour that night. And with 1 or 2 out in the ninth inning, Reggie broke up the no-hitter. Got a straight ground ball up the middle. And you had to see Nolan Ryan's face, But Reggie, I showed everybody that plaque that I have. It's still sitting on my dining room table. Greatest piece that I have. I still have the newspapers, the midnight edition, and the next day when he hit the 3 home runs in 77. I will never part with them. I was going to give them to Reggie one day, but I changed my mind. But he's my favorite baseball player. I always mention this for no reason, but I'll mention it. You know who absolutely loved Reggie Jackson in wrestling? Some of you will remember this guy. Remember Simon Diamond? Remember Simon? He was in ECW. He was also in TNA, Simon Diamond. I don't know if Reggie is still his favorite baseball player of all time, but here's a funny, true story. And you could ask him. He'll tell you it's true. One day at the Elks Lodge in Queens, New York, maybe mid-2000s, I was in the bathroom taking a leak. Simon Diamond walks in, pulls his zipper down. He's taking a leak next to me. So I finish. I go to wash my hands, and I noticed he had a Reggie Jackson jersey on. Now, Reggie's been retired since like 1993, but he had a Reggie jersey on, and I'm like, oh, you're a Reggie fan? He's like, fucking yeah, Reggie's my favorite baseball player of all time. 10 minutes in the bathroom, we were just talking everything about Reggie. And in fact, I think Simon Diamond also had a number 44 jersey as his wrestling gimmick. Like he had merchandise and he was number 44, and that was a tribute to Reggie Jackson. Little tidbit that you all may not know. So I didn't check his pecker. No. He didn't check mine. Rojo Bear. Thank you, Rojo Bear, for this. Thank you for your generosity. Should Floyd Mayweather be inducted this year for the WWE Hall of Fame? Unless you were going to do something with him at WrestleMania. I think that would be out of nowhere. I think the fact that Paul White is still in AEW, I think Paul White inducting him would be the way to go. I don't see Floyd Mayweather going in this year. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's needed. Yeah, I just don't see it. I think, listen, somebody asked earlier, like future former WWE guys going back to WWE. I think Paul White will end up back in the WWE signing a Legends deal. Paul White says that he still thinks he could wrestle. He still has a match or two in him. Paul White would be used like Kane, even though Kane does really not do much anymore. Oh, and by the way, some of you may find this interesting. I think Dallas, Texas. I saw it randomly earlier. It just popped up. I didn't watch the whole thing yet, but somebody, non-wrestling page, posted a video yesterday of Kane, Glenn Jacobs, and Ted DiBiase at some type of a toy convention signing in Texas. And Glenn Jacobs is buying like vintage wrestling figures. He's apparently a collector of vintage wrestling figures. And so supposedly it's a very cool segment. It's on YouTube if anybody wants to go seek it out. So I'm sure nobody's talked about it in the news world as of yet. Thank you, Chris, for the kind words, man. Much appreciated. You know, I love doing these shows. You know, I know we don't type up synopsises and some of the topics, you know, end up getting lost. But, you know, the shows are more about a vibe. You know, just hang out for a couple of hours, get your mind off of bullshit. You know, the wintertime, politics, relationships, debt, you know, whatever it is, health, lack thereof. If we could just have some conversation and fun for a little while, that's what it's intended to do. You know, I just give opinions here. You know, I might have been a little bit too tough on Ryan Nemeth earlier, but, you know, I just see that and I'm just baffled by it. You know, honestly, you know, there's no excuse for that. I think it's ridiculous. I think the lawsuit is a waste of time. I don't think that's the publicity that he wants to get. It's kind of like the Corey Graves situation. Corey Graves walked out. I think most of us felt like he's not going to get the support that he thinks he's going to get. And almost immediately, people started turning on him like, you know, oh, you know, you're not getting exactly what you want. Oh, your feelings are hurt that you have to go to NXT. Boo fucking who? You know, if anything, WWE's overpaying to have a commentator on NXT. But, you know, right now with Netflix and TKO Group Holdings, you know, what do they both have in common? They're not wrestling companies. And unfortunately, Corey Graves is not looked at by Netflix and TKO the same way that Vince and WWE did. So Corey Graves is more replaceable than he thinks he is. I'm very, very happy that they worked things out, but I think Corey Graves totally misfired. As I said yesterday, it makes you wonder with Carmella no longer being on the WWE contract, could that have had something to do with it in some way? I don't know. But I think with Ryan Nemeth, and I say this sincerely, and, you know, even if this gets his way and he sees this, I don't think, you know, you're going to win the court of public opinion on this one. I don't think you're going to win any money as well. You know, if anything, it's going to backfire because people are going to interpret you as this one very, very soft, you know, if I dare say pussy that, you know, is tough guy on Twitter and will say things without naming names. But then when somebody gets in your face, I mean, doesn't that sound funny? Doesn't that sound like social media? They're like, oh, tough guy in a basement on a computer. But if I talk to you to your face, is there a problem? You want to go outside? And suddenly you turn into a little vegetable. You turn into mashed potatoes. And I think that's the perception that he's going to get. And I think wrestling companies out there are going to turn around and be very, very wary of signing him. Plus, he's been working TNA. So, I mean, right there, they're going to show that he's wrestled more since he left TNA, left AEW, than he did while he was there. If you really think about it, he's getting more opportunity now. You know, I just think this was a big, big mistake on his part. If I was him, I would just drop the lawsuit and, you know, blame it on whatever you want to blame. But I would just drop it and just move on. Because if people think that you're Sue happy, trust me, they're not going to want to go anywhere near you. They're going to be afraid. If I don't book this guy, if I don't pull out the red carpet, if I don't treat him like a baby, he might turn around and accuse me. And listen, you know, AEW could afford it. CM Punk could afford it. But some indie wrestling company out there that is just barely getting by with the tickets being sold cannot afford to buy a lawyer, hire a lawyer, and go to court over somebody like this. So what do? I just won't use you. I'm not even going to take the chance. So if anything, he is damaging his career 10 times more right now. Sorry that your feelings are hurt. Sorry that you think that somebody getting in your face is assault. But boy, this was a big misfire on his part. And listen, if I'm Nick Nemeth, he's going to be asked about this lawsuit. If I'm Nick Nemeth, I would just say, my brother's a big boy. He handles his business. I have nothing to do with that. I bet you anything you want to bet, that's what happens. He's a big boy. He can handle it. That's what he wants to do. That's his right. Okay, we get a jet. I am out of here. We are past the 2-hour mark. So once again, couple of quick plugs. Now, yes, we are using this thumbnail for tomorrow because Kevin and I, we are going to be doing predictions for Elimination Chamber. We'll talk a little bit more about Corporate Rock and Cody, Soul Man versus Shark. We'll see if, and we'll see a week from now if The Rock did in fact jump the Shark. Remember when I say this, a week from now, we might turn around and say, holy shit, that was awesome. Whatever they're planning, it may end up being fucking tremendous. That's why I think we take a little bit more of a wait and see approach on this one. But as of right now, man, yesterday, that was an odd segment for sure. And then next week, next Sunday, right here on YouTube. And like I said, this thumbnail will probably change between now and then. But Kevin and I will be live right here. So for all of you out there that, have been wanting to give a, welcome back to Kev. I know when we do Discord, it's a more intimate audience on a Monday night because everybody and their mother are doing shows. But next Sunday, just pop up in the chat and just write, welcome back to Kev. I will tell you, he is absolutely blown away by the amount of, people that have reached out to him, not just publicly, but privately. Even people in wrestling that he had no idea. I had no idea they were tuning into the shows and just really looked out for him. I mean, it's scary, man. It's scary to hear he's still convinced that he suffered a stroke. I don't think he has lost a step at all, but like Monday, for people that don't know, we talked to our live Patreon audience for about 20 minutes before we started. Kev just wanted that to just get going a little bit because, his mind, was just all scattered, might be the right way to put it. And once we got into that flow, everything was good. So I'm very, very happy that he's still here. very, very happy that he was able to get it taken care of. Now he's getting treatment. And let me tell you something. He changed the way I handle things a little bit going forward. And I know there's quite a few of you out there that, think you've learned a lesson a little bit of, what Kev explained on Monday. So that was rough shit, man. You don't know what it feels like when you're friends with someone, even though we had a falling out for a couple of years. But what Kev and I do on these shows, the fun that we have on Mondays, it's all genuine. It's not fake. We have a good time and we look out for each other. And, a couple of weeks ago when he's sending me a DM on getting ready to go to the hospital, and he's just thanking me for all the years and saying goodbye and asking me for my cell number to give it to this girl because he doesn't think he's going to make it. His blood pressure is at 200, and he's crying because, who's going to take care of his cat? He truly, 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 not drama, truly thought that he was done. And that's scary shit, man. And what's scarier now, and I'll leave you all with this is not doom and gloom, but I'll leave you all with this. Something to think about. It's not just the physical aspect of it. And I think this is so important. That's why I'm a little careful on social media when people talk about mental health. But, now for him, he feels a little better. He's on 8 medications. He feels a little bit better. He's getting more rest. He's doing everything the doctors tell him. But this is the thing that I think is just as bad. If you feel a little off, your heart starts racing a little, you get a little dizzy, any little thing, you start getting paranoid. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I can only imagine how that feels. When you get a scare like that, like a lot of you know about some of my scares, but it was the C word. It wasn't like stroke, heart attack, blood pressure. It was more about blood test results and getting, things taken care of that way. I didn't have any episodes where you're laying down and suddenly you're having a seizure and you're like this and you can't even dial 911. So that's the thing. I feel bad for him more than anything right now because, any little feeling that you're off, you start freaking out. And the doctors told him, don't freak out. You're going to get that feeling a little bit. Your body's going to be changing. And I say that to each and every one of you out there as well. If any of you out there ever deals with a health scare like that, you got to make sure you take care of the mental side also, because I could only imagine how that could drive somebody crazy. I don't want to bring up other people who are no longer here on this earth, but certain female that we pay tribute every week on the shows. I remember her dealing with post-concussion syndromes, and those headaches would come, and if anybody's ever had a migraine and you feel it coming, you don't know what it's like to be having a conversation with somebody, just talking about life and cats or whatever it is. And then all of a sudden that feeling's coming. Oh my God. Oh no. Oh no. And then next thing you know, it just totally turns everything upside down. And it got to the point where it just drives you crazy. Like, I don't want no more pain. So the mental side of things is just as important as the physical side. And I really think, that's something that people sometimes forget. So believe me when I tell you, if you happen to be around next Sunday, stop in for a few minutes. Even if you just say, hey, Kev, nice to have you back. Fuck you, DT, and leave. That's fine with me. It's fine with me. So much love, everyone. I am out here. I'm going to jet. So Kev and I will be live tomorrow night after Raw, about 15 minutes after Raw ends. And we got some discussions, predictions. We got a few things on the agenda. So hope you could join us. So be well, everybody. Catch you all again in the next one.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who work shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills, I paid the host, I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's alright, he's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.
Coming for you, Hulk Hogan. We 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 coming for you.